Anyways, my name is Olumuyiwa Igbalajobi, and I work with the University of British Columbia. I work as a postdoctoral research fellow. So today, I would be talking about scholarship opportunities abroad. So, if you're interested in fully funded scholarship, there are several opportunities abroad where you can benefit. At the end of this talk, you can reach out to me at info@olumuyiwaigbalajobi.com. And briefly, I started my career from the University of Ekiti. I went to Christ School. I had my high school at Christ School. I left in 2002. I didn't make my O levels until 2005, after about 10 sittings. Then I went to the University of Ado Ekiti. I was the president of microbiology, the department there in 2008 to 2010. Then I went back for my master's in 2012. Then in 2013, 6 months to the end of my master's, I got the South Korean government scholarship. I went to South Korea for my master's, and after my master's, I proceeded to Germany for my PhD. And last year, I moved to University of British Columbia as a postdoctoral research fellow. So today I'll be talking about scholarship opportunities where you can leverage, and I also want to appreciate the organizer of this program. This is coming from Ekiti, and I'm proud to be from Ekiti. I'm from FLI. So I started Scholarship Cafe last year, and the purpose of Scholarship Cafe is to bring information to people without paying for it. Like I saw a lack of information. Like there's this paucity, there's this gap that you have to look for agents to get scholarship abroad, and oftentimes these agents don't even know more than you do. So I started Scholarship Cafe, and so far we've reached out to over 30,000 people all over the world, from India to Pakistan to Ghana, Nigeria to Africa and other part of the world. So just last month, I started a YouTube channel, which is also called Scholarship Cafe, so that I can archive all my resources for people that are just following me on Twitter. Twitter is currently banned in Nigeria, so I quite understand that. So the today I'll talk about secrets of securing study opportunities abroad, and you can also send in your questions. So the first question is, okay, why should I study abroad? What are the benefits of international scholarship? Number one, you have a stable academic calendar. You don't have to struggle with the NASU, ASU, SANU strike. You know, when you get into school, you know the exact time you will graduate. And I mean, for instance, someone like me, I left my master's in EXU to pursue another master's in Korea. And it was like, a lot of people that we started together in EXU, I still finished before them, even after I had repeated another master's for 3 years. So you have a stable academic career. This is one of the benefits of studying abroad and international scholarship. And the second point is that you have international exposure and collaboration. You meet different people from different country, and you collaborate together, and you can talk, you can share their ideas, and you work as a team. And the third one is like, for studying abroad opportunities, you have the opportunity to have a career change. Maybe you read physics before, you want to change to data science, or you want to do like maybe mathematical modeling, or you are a mathematician and you want to change to computational biology. So they want to see that you're passionate about what you do. So there's no barrier like, okay, if I read biochemistry, I only have to do something related to biochemistry. So you can have a career change. These are the opportunities of studying abroad. And also get study, you get paid to study. For instance, I was on the South Korean government scholarship. I get my allowance at the end of, or even in advance for the month of April. I get my allowance at the end of March. So it is already fixed. So you only study, go there, study, do practicals, get paid. I mean, there's no sense of entitlement here, about the fact that getting paid to study makes a lot of difference. Like, you do not have to work as well as studying, because it's not easy to study and combine it with hustling. Like, odd jobs around, because the stress alone in grad school, it's bigger than anything you can think about. Then one of the benefits of also international scholarships is the fact that you get free flights, you get visa fee covered. Some scholarships, including Mastercard, KGSP in Korea, covers your flight. I flew on Emirates Airline for the first time in my life for free, and also they covered my visa fee. Even some scholarships also provide laptops, they provide phone for you. They cover your accommodation and a host of other things. And also, I've talked about the issue of traveling out of your country with zero a month, and people are asking me, how is it possible? Yes, I traveled out of Nigeria for the first time with $100. It was $1 to 160 naira then. So I had $100, which was like 16,000 naira. All I needed to have is just to leave Nigeria, because I get a pickup at the airport from my school, and also 2 days after our arrival, they pay they call it settlement allowance, which is about $200, which is easy for you. I mean, it's okay for you to survive until they pay the stipends at the end of the month. So you can travel out of your home country without any money, because it's all covered. It's a fully paid, fully funded scholarship, which covers your flight, covers your settlement allowance, covers your pickup. You just need to get your luggage out of your home country, then get to your destination. Then also you have access to new culture, tradition, languages. I speak Korean. I don't speak German. Okay, so you have access to new cultures, get to know how people do things, get to understand different perspectives, which also affect the way you think in life. And another benefit of international scholarship is that you have better earning. Currently, I think a pound to Nigerian naira, it's about 700 naira or something like that. So if you are schooling in the UK, you get better earning. If you're schooling in the US, you also get better earning. And most importantly, there are limits to what you can earn. For instance, a PhD holder, there are limits to the fact that there are basic salary scale that you must be paid. So the company cannot pay below that. So you have better earning. There is labor law. These are the benefits of studying abroad. There is labor law abroad, and compared to where they exploit people and things like that. Also, another benefit of studying abroad is the fact that you have access to travel, like tourism. Like for us, we visited about, 10 countries for free. We don't apply for visa. If you're studying in Germany, you have access to over 25 Schengen countries where you don't have to apply for visa. You take your Nigerian passport with your resident permit. You're going to maybe Alicante in Spain, or you want to go to Croatia. Like the picture here is Santorini, where we visited, and the traveling experience is beautiful, and also it's cheap. Like you could get a to and fro on some flight for less than 50 euro. So it's easy to explore the world. This is one part. Like I usually tell people, the educational route is one of the easiest parts you can use to explore the world and travel for what you want, and also to experience different tradition, people's orientation, and also different countries. I'm just gonna go straight to there are different sources of scholarship opportunities. How do you get scholarship opportunities? I've received several messages, and like from my personal email, I receive an average of 10 messages daily. People asking me, oh, how do I get scholarship opportunity? How do I even start on this scholarship journey? One easy thing that I usually tell people, because I'm an apostle of do it yourself. If you reach out to me and say, oh, how do I get scholarship to Canada? I have to drop my WhatsApp number. No, I don't do that. I provided so many resources on Twitter. So far in the last 1 year, I have over 59,000 tweets. And if you go there, if you go to my pin post on Twitter, you can see how to start to get to find scholarships abroad for free, which is something that comes with this sense of fulfillment when you do it yourself, which I've always tell people, you can do it yourself. There's nothing impossible for you to do. So there are different sources of scholarships, and one of them is the group. I mean the wider coverage, which is Google. You can search on Google like, okay, fully funded scholarship in the US for microbiology, fully funded scholarship um So much in the network is so crappy. Also, fully funded scholarship from in microbiology in Canada, fully funded scholarship for biochemistry in Saudi Arabia. I've applied to several countries, and this is the way I get them. And also, you can get these on Google. Just type it. You see a lot of suggestions for you. So make normalize the use of Google. And also, there are several scholarship sites. If you go to my Twitter page, Twitter is banned in Nigeria. Yeah, I know a lot of people want to be patriotic. So if you go to my website, I have over 31 scholarship sites, academic positions, different scholarship sites where you can subscribe and you get notification of scholarships every day. I still have notification subscribe for scholarship positions. I don't need scholarship, but because I have a lot of followers that are interested in scholarship. In fact, 98% of my followers want fully funded scholarship and they cannot afford to pay any agent. And this is what I also preach. Like you don't have to pay anybody. So subscribe to scholarship sites. There are different scholarship sites out there. They kind of categorize them on STEM and non-STEM on your major, like law, microbiology, physics. So you can subscribe to this to this website. You can see them on my own personal website. Twitter has been banned in Nigeria, but for people using VPN, you can look at for positions on Twitter. Just go to the search button, type PhD positions. You see a lot. Type your major. You see a lot. There are a lot of professors on Twitter that are advertising every day, which I usually retweet, and a lot of professors that just get into tenure track. They have funding, and you see a lot of people. Announcing, "Oh, I became an assistant professor. I'll be recruiting." So these are also the sources of scholarship. I always tell people, if you're on Twitter, make sure you keep a clean slate, a clean digital footprint. I always tell people make it holy. Like make sure you're not sharing nudes or you're just sharing irrelevant things. There are a lot of professors out there. You can even DM and start a conversation. Oh, congratulations on your new position. I'd love to work with you. So you can reach out to them, and a lot of them are always open to talk to you and also to mentor you. And again, there are other sources such as LinkedIn. If you go on LinkedIn, go to the search button, type PhD position or master's position. Yeah, I understand that master's positions are quite limited compared to PhD positions. And like Matthew said recently, yes, you can get a PhD position with your bachelor degree. You don't need a master's. In fact, most labs, most professors do not recruit masters to them because they feel it doesn't work for them. 18 months, you fly away. But for PhD, 5 years, you stay in the lab, you contribute to the growth of the lab, you write papers. So if you go on LinkedIn, type PhD positions, you get an average of 10,000 positions in 1 month on LinkedIn. So just might be there. Another source of scholarship opportunity is YouTube. There are several YouTube channel out there, including my every month. I do at least one live stream, which I talk about scholarship opportunities, the current openings, and like I'm going to do in the next 1 week on the 31st of the month. I'll talk about current openings where you can apply for, like the deadlines. Then you can bring in your questions. So there are a lot of YouTube channels out there. Pivotal, hosted by Ali Ijisha, and a lot of other YouTube channels out there where you can talk about, oh, you're applying for the scholarship list, MasterCard, KGSP. I've appeared on several YouTube channel to talk about how to apply for KGSP and the opportunities out there. So another way you can also get scholarship is like attending conferences and webinars. There are positions. If you attend conferences or webinars, you can meet a PI or a professor that came to present, and you can ask questions, and you can also talk about the fact that you want to work with them. My current position, I got it because I attended a conference in Korea in 2017. I went through the brochure of the conference, the book of abstract. Then I saw the name of my current professor. Then I sent him a cold email, and there's where I am today. So make use of every asset you have, make use of every tool you have out there to your own taste. And another thing is direct referral. When I talk about direct referral, it's like maybe you have friends in China, you have friends in Canada, you have friends in Turkey, you have friends in Tunisia, you have friends in Israel, and the lab is recruiting or the professor is recruiting. So it's important to keep an LD network, like LD friends, like keep it doesn't have to be big. You just need few very close cycle people that believe in you, people that you think your goal and dream aligns. And so when they see positions in their life, they can easily tell you, hey, do you have anyone interested in this position? And this is also something like you see when professor put up positions out there, they must have sent it to their friends, like, okay, do you have anyone to recommend for me? So you have to ensure that you keep a close friends of people that are intentional. You can keep a group of friends that are interested in scholarship. And if you have mentors out there, if you have seniors out there that are in foreign countries that are working with professors that are similar to your major, you can talk to them. Oh, I'm interested in scholarship. I remember when I got the South Korean government and the Chinese government scholarship, it was a senior of mine. And when I was in the university, that sent the links to me. So it's important um, um, to keep circle of people that are healthy and people that are intentional. So I'm gonna go to the checklist of graduate abroad, the checklist of graduate abroad application, and the first on my list is your curriculum vitae. If you're interested in applying for graduate study abroad, if you're interested in scholarship, the first thing you need to do is to get your curriculum vitae. It's important to understand the difference between the Nigerian form of CV compared to what is applicable in outside Nigeria, except required, except stated. Please take away your date of birth, your gender, your nationality, your next of kin, your number of children, as well as your religion from your CV. I know for Europe, especially for Erasmus scholarship, the Europa scholarship probably requests for date of birth or something like that. So, except required, please take away those things. Your curriculum vitae is the first impression of who you are. I recently made a video on this on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's the first impression of who you are. And I also made 8 common mistakes that people make. So in their CV, you need to keep your format consistent. You need to keep the fonts consistent. You need, if you're using Times Roman, use Times Roman all through. If you're using, I use black and white, so you don't want to put red on one of the headings, you put blue on one of the headings, or put indigo on the other headings. You don't want to have a rainbow color. So keep your CV consistent, keep your CV simple yet loaded. So I'll also talk about the issue of action verbs. Like I analyzed, I investigated, I did this. A lot of people that are watching me right now might be undergrad, might still be in the university. I want to tell you, don't be timid, don't be scared. You have all it takes to land that fully funded scholarship. To God be the glory. A lot of people on my radar got fully funded admission scholarships into the US this year, and all they did is to take the scholarship admission letter and they offer to the embassy without proof of fund. A lot of them with a first class and 2-1 had direct PhD admission, and they all started with having a written curriculum vitae. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying like if you want to pay someone to write your CV, I'm not categorically saying it's 100% wrong. But again, if you cannot write your own CV, this is a story about you. There are a lot of formats out there on university side, even on my own page that I gave. There are different links that you can look for academic CV format, edit it, follow the rules. It is your own story. Put it out there. You don't want to have a CV that talks about your role in INEC and you're applying for a position in microbiology. So it's disjointed. The CV must first start with your contact details, your name, your email address, as well as your phone number. You don't want to put 5 to 10 email addresses, or you want to don't load it with your Instagram links, don't load it with your LinkedIn links, don't load it with your Twitter link. Keep it simple, because it takes an average professors receive about 25 emails, let's say a week, and it takes 6 seconds for you to convince a professor. So you need to make your CV on point. Okay, I'm applying to a position in psychology. Maybe the professor is working in clinical psychology. My research interest, I have to put it like, okay, clinical psychology. So that when the professor sees it for the first time, he realizes that, oh, I think this person is kind of, let's say this field of interest marries with mine, and let's see, I want to read for that. But when you start with the profile summary that talks about I'm energetic, I can work under pressure, I can do this, I can do that, then it's generic. So you want to keep it simple, and you want to keep it personalized. So for more information on how to make your own academic CV, you can check my YouTube channel for that, or also check my Twitter page. I also had a lot of threads on CV on LinkedIn. So the next is to search for the right school. And like I said, you can search on Google for schools. You can also search like, okay, maybe for instance, in Canada, we have the Canadian Society for Microbiology, where you have all the schools in Canada that offers a degree in microbiology with masters and PhD. So you can also go on Google, search for, okay, maybe chemistry in Switzerland, chemistry in Germany, PhD in chemistry in let's say Norway. So you'll see a series of schools, and on those schools you see a particular section which talks about the faculty or their staff. So you can go through those lists, check for someone that is closely related to your field of interest. Then you can write them, okay, I'm interested in your field, or I'm interested in your research group. And this goes to the next checklist, which is your cold email. From PhD to getting a postdoc position, I've gotten all this using cold email. Cold email is an average version of your statement of purpose, and it has to deal with the fact that, hi, my name is Olumuyiwa Igbalajobi. I had a first degree in microbiology. These are my hands-on experience. My undergraduate thesis was on this. I saw your group that you're working on this. Um, I'm interested in working in your group, maybe to fulfill my dream of becoming a professor. It's a very common line, like people in academia wants to read, like you want to mentor someone. So when you see that line, it's like, okay, maybe let me read further. Then you want to talk about, okay, I've read your paper on so, 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 and I would love to discuss some research questions. Don't make it generic, or maybe, oh, I read your paper and it's interesting. What is interesting about our paper? Talk about what is interesting about their research interest, identify a particular gap, constructively criticize them. Don't talk about, oh, maybe if you have done it like this, it will have worked like this. Yeah, a lot of people, we work in the lab 24/7 to produce a paper. You don't want to talk to a professor like, oh, what you produce is really shitty. Maybe if you give me the chance, I could do better. So constructively identify a gap. Oh, I notice you use this. Would probably love to explore this part, and use that forum to create, like, ask for a time to talk about research questions. Then you can talk about your leadership skill, you can talk about your volunteering skill, and maybe you can also talk about the fact that you're a first generation scientist, and maybe you are also a minority. So that's the essence of code email. Keep it simple, 400 to 500 words. It's okay. Don't write code email and start talking about Buhari is a bad guy, or the fact that you cannot feed, or the fact that you cannot afford to go to college, or the fact that you cannot afford 3 square meal a day. Yeah, hardship it's real, I understand, but it also rains everywhere. So a particular lab or a particular professor wants to view you as the fact that you're bringing something along to add to the particular research group, and not the fact that you're just being sympathetic, because they also get grants from funding agencies which they have to be answerable to. There's no free money anywhere. So one important part of your application document, if you want to study abroad or you want to apply for scholarship, is your statement of purpose. And I've made several videos on these as well. And I had a live stream on statement of purpose, which I also dropped my dummy. I wrote a dummy, like a fictional statement of purpose. So for the purpose of this presentation, please don't copy my statement of purpose. You can use it as a flow to guide you to write here. So the statement of purpose, like, you have to talk about the introduction. The introduction is the yourself, what you've done so far. You can also indicate that maybe the problem of antifungal or the problem of antibiotic resistance led you to study microbiology, or the problem of child labor led you to study, let's say, like something in law, or the problem of indigenous nation stimulated you or motivated you to study indigenous law or intellectual property, or the problem of ethics motivated you to study bioethics. So you have to start with something that is catchy, then leads to your introduction. Okay, I had a first degree in this and that. My thesis was on this, and in order to further, I want to apply for the position of a grad student in a reputable university. Then you talk about the hands-on experience you have. Here, a lot of people do say they do not have research experience. I usually tell them it's a lie. Think about your thesis, think about your internship, think about the SciWest you did while you're in the university for 3 months. So bring all your research experience together. You had methodology in your degree. Let's say you're in biochemistry, you collected some samples, or microbiology, you collected clinical environmental samples. You used biochemical tests to identify some things. No matter how small it is, even at the undergrad level, you're not expected to have, like nature or science paper standard of expertise. So bring all those expertise together. Use active words. I investigated this and that. The result of my findings shows this and that. In order to understand more about this field, I'm applying for the graduate position. Then talk about a particular group you're interested in. Maybe previously you sent a cold email and the professor has given you the go ahead to mention his name. I didn't mention it in the statement of purpose, like, oh, Professor Olumuyiwa Igbalajobi has given me the go ahead to work in his lab, and I'll be working on so and so, and we've discussed several research questions. So indicate the lab you want to work there. Then next is not just about CGPA. If you have less than 2.1, your statement of purpose can change a lot of things for you. Like you can, buttress the point that, okay, maybe back in the uni you had a problem, or maybe hardship led to, like, affected your grades, and you came back, you finished well, even if you don't. But your statement of purpose can change a lot about your grade, about yourself. So if you write it very well, after the fact that you've mentioned the professor has agreed to supervise you, also indicates that you have leadership skill, you have volunteering skills, like you've attended webinars, you've attended seminars, you've attended conferences. You also want to indicate that you have good communication and writing skill, which is evident in your conferences, because in grad school you have to write papers, you have to give talks. So indicate that in your statement of purpose, and praise the school, like, okay, you, because of the cutting edge technology, wide international community, like, praise the school, let them know that you feel them, let them know you know something about the school. Just don't just be generic, and it's okay to keep your statement of purpose to about 800 to 1,000 words. The longer it is, the high chance that it's disjointed, it's boring. So have a flow. Talk about your statement of purpose in terms of who you are previously, who you want to be, who you are presently, and who you intend to be. So talk about the introduction, talk about why you're applying to grad school, talk about your future goal. Maybe you want to become a professor, you indicate it in your statement of purpose, and owe it to the school that the aim will be fulfilled if they grant you a position in their grad school. Then next, the standardized test, IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, GMAT. In Canada, most of the universities exempt Nigerian from writing IELTS. In Asia, if you're applying to Asia, which most people don't go, and there are a lot of opportunities there. The schools they exempt IELTS for people from Nigeria. If you're listening, if you're from other part of Africa or other part of the world, you can try to write the school to know if they exempt. In the US, I know a lot of schools request for TOEFL from Nigeria, but Samuel Ajayi and a lot of others, Zainab, they started a movement, I think, a few months ago, to write some schools to waive Nigerians from submitting TOEFL, which a lot of schools actually, accepted. And even some schools, I knew someone that the school had to pay Duolingo test for that, to at least, attempt the exam, and, so that the application documents can be completed. So be sure you write the school to know what they require. A lot of schools in the US, which I've posted in last month, also waive GRE this year. But again, that they waive GRE doesn't mean that you don't have to do it. If you have GRE, it gives you also leverage. And I've seen a lot of people, even with HND, that had GRE and they got fully funded master's or PhD position. So your grade, your degree is not a limitation. Just make sure you identify the weak points and the strong points. The next is your research proposal. This is optional, especially if you are applying to a lab in the US or even Korea. Most of the labs in North America or even in Europe, they already have a timetable, they already have a proposal, they already have a funding which has been sponsored. I mean, like a proposal which has been funded. So if you just need to key into the lab to continue working in that field, and this is where expertise come in place, and this is why the problem of disparity in the system, the gap in our educational system, come into being, because okay, at a PhD level, if you're applying to Germany, you are expected to know some skills. So, and this is quite limited in our own case, especially with lack of political power, political will for funding in our educational system. So research proposal is optional, and in most cases, if you are to submit a research proposal, your professor will guide you to write that. Letter of recommendation is the next one. If you're applying for scholarship abroad, please get your letter of recommendation ready. Most schools would take letter of recommendation maybe 6 months old or a year old. You can also get a letter of recommendation from your lecturers. Get the e-copy, they can sign it, you save it, and you can use it anytime. Your letter of recommendation must be as strong as your SOP, because the people recruiting or the people evaluating your credentials do not see you. They can only depend on what your professor or your supervisor has actually wrote in your recommendation letter. So do not get recommendation letter from a random person like someone you met on Twitter, like me. There's no way I can recommend you, because I have to state the capacity that I know you. So recommendation letters I always request for three, and three are often getting from my bachelor, master's, and PhD supervisor. So if you're working in the industry, you at least get two letter of recommendation, and one from academia and one from the industry. So make sure your letter of recommendation is on point. Let it capture your recent achievement. Let it capture your strong point. Let it capture your leadership skill. Let it capture your volunteering skill, and let it capture the fact that you are ready for grad school and you can survive in any environment. The next is transcript. If you're applying for grad school study abroad, your transcript is important for most Nigerian university. I don't know, maybe 80% of universities in Nigeria makes it a hell of thing to get transcript, except few schools like FUTA, which they also have their own other side of it. So if you're applying abroad, it's important to start processing your transcript now. And in all my application to Korea, to China, I've used unofficial transcript. How do you do this? Get a student copy of your transcript. Go to the state ICOT in your state. You stamp it as original certified copy. Save it up. Put it in your flash or your system as e-copy. You can use it to apply for any university. Most of the universities in the US actually allows you to use unofficial transcript until they give you admission. So when you get your admission, you can request for your official transcript. I've actually spoken to the authority of EXU, and I think they're speeding up the transcript process. And if you have issues, you can talk to me, and maybe we can do something about that. But make sure you have your transcript ready. It's also advisable as soon as you're graduating. For those in the uni, you can start processing your transcript so that you don't get to experience stories that touch later. The last on my list for the checklist for grad study abroad is application fee. I understand this is a major bottleneck for a lot of applicants. For instance, several schools charge $75 to $100 for application fee, and this is bigger. Like it's way, like it's more than the applicable minimum wage in Nigeria. So do not be scared because of application fee. There are several ways you can do this. Okay, you can solicit from friends or talk to your professor or request for application fee waiver. I posted PhD position in a particular school in the US a few days ago, and they talked about removing application fees so that it doesn't serve as a bottleneck for people to apply. So you can target application fee waivers from schools, and you can get this by writing a letter requesting for application fee waiver. Talk about your income, your family income, and the fact that you cannot afford this, or you attend open session. Most of these universities, when they do webinars open session, they give participant application fee waiver code, so you can get to use that. Get to talk to people in the school, write the graduate admission office if there is applicable if there's available application fee waiver in that university, or institute you are applying to. So there are several scholarship. We've talked about the checklist. We've talked about sources of scholarship and the benefit of studying abroad. So there are several scholarships you can apply, for out there. The number one is Korean government scholarship, which I'm a proud product of the South Korean system. I always reference my growth and my expertise in mycology to South Korea. The South Korean government scholarship covers your tuition, it covers your flight, it covers your stipend, it covers the medical insurance, it covers settlement allowance. Like I said, you might decide to travel to Korea without taking anything along, because you get a pick up at the airport, then you get a settlement allowance times 2 days after, which is about $200. And also, when you're done with your program, they give you completion grant. Oh, you want to go back home? Oh, we get this amount so that you use it to settle in your home country together with your flight ticket back to your home country. So there are several categories for the South Korean government scholarship. You have the bachelor degree, which is for 5 years. Like seriously, you get fully funded scholarship bachelor for 5 years in Korea, and also master's degree 2 years. You have 1 year of language, which makes it three. The 1 year of language is compulsory. It's not difficult. I learned it. It's even fun. You travel to several places. It's covered, and then you also have the doctorate degree is 3 years plus 1 year of language is four. Then you have associate degree. So if you're interested in the South Korean government scholarship, I've made several threads on Twitter, and I'll also be making a thread about it on my YouTube page soon. And there are several ways you can get a scholarship. It's a little tricky because for Nigeria we have just 8 slots for the university route. There are 2 routes for you to apply for the South Korean government scholarship. Is either you apply to the embassy in Nigeria or you apply to a university in South Korea. For the South University route, we only have 8 slots. So imagine 1,000 Nigerians applying. So everything has to be in place in terms of your CGPA, in terms of your letter of recommendation, in terms of your standardized tests, because they also give preference to STEM. Though this scholarship covers everything. I mean, STEM and non-STEM. If you're in law, if you're if you want to do MBA, you can apply for the Korean government scholarship. Also, there are several university scholarship in Korea. In fact, Korea is looking for international students, and they have their target for a particular year. So, if you are interested in the rich culture and diversity, Korea is #1 tech country in the world right now, and you want to go there, apply to Korea. You might get a fully funded scholarship. I've seen people, even undergrad, that got fully funded scholarship for their program from the university. So the next is Chinese government scholarship, which is China as one of the biggest platforms for scholarship in the world. The Chinese government scholarship, which I also had in 2013 for my master's, covers your tuition, covers your accommodation, covers monthly stipend. They don't cover flights. That was why I chose Korea. So you also have the ANSO scholarship, which gives 200 slots for masters and 300 slots for PhD. In Nigeria, we from successful applicants and ANSO scholarship this year, which is strictly for science. I think we were like over 30 from they are like over 30 from Nigeria. So if you're interested in like building your skills, I usually tell people for you to focus on Canada is okay, for you to focus on the US is okay. But if you're a microbiologist like me, it might be hard for you to get into Canada or the US with your level of expertise, especially if you don't have molecular expertise. So you can consider going to China, they train you from scratch. You can consider going to Korea, they train you from scratch. And I want to assure you, by the time you're done, you will explore any part in the world. They also have UCAS scholarship, University of Chinese Academy of Science. My time is almost gone. You have the NEST scholarship, you have the DAD scholarship, you have Marie Curie scholarship in Europe. You have the Humboldt fellowship for people that are watching me that are interested in postdoc. You have the Erasmus scholarship for Europe. You have the MasterCard scholarship. There are several criterions in this scholarship in UBC here. It covers your flight, it covers monthly stipend, it covers everything you can think about. Then you have the DKFZ scholarship for people interested in cancer biology in Germany, and you have several scholarship, teaching assistantship, graduate assistantship, and most importantly, right professors, because they have funding and they can provide funding for you, which covers your tuition and would also cover your insurance and also covers your medical. So it's important to look out for this scholarships. So DAD scholarship is one big scholarship in the world. Like there are several scholarships. Like for instance, I think the current one covers till October. So that is that on scholarship. And if you want further information, you can reach out to me, info@olumuyiwa.com. I don't know if I paid session for people. I don't know if I paid mentoring. I've answered so many questions that people usually ask me. And yeah, I'll be glad to be a part of your journey. And for the resources out there on my website, on my YouTube channel, on Twitter, you can go there. It's for free. On my Twitter, I have a pin post of over 40, which can help you get started and get you scholarship. So thank you so much for having me. It's so sad I couldn't share my slides, but I'll provide it for Matthew at the end of this session. So I'm gonna entertain questions. If you have questions, you can ask me.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't share my slides. Yeah, so
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
gonna send it to you.
It's totally fine, actually. Guys, before we go on, can you take a screenshot right now and share with on your social media later on with the hashtag Ekiti Digital Summit, right? Make sure that you tag Dr. Igbalajobi, okay? Make sure that you tag him later on. Okay, so let us go to the question. That was a very, very, detailed, detailed information. And we have a lot of questions here, but let
Okay.
me quickly Okay, let me quickly get some of them for you to see too. Of course, people say they have been waiting for this session, and that is fine. Um, yeah, so this person says, of course, I think you answered that, but then I want to clear about it. Is age a barrier to undergraduate scholarship application?
Yes, for most undergraduate scholarship application. For instance, the KGSP, the next that you have the one in Japan, you have the Chinese government scholarship that offers undergrad, you have the Korean government scholarship that offers undergrad. There is age limit. So most of the scholarships, if you're over 24, they might not consider you. But you can apply for like university scholarship, which age shouldn't be a barrier. So if you there are several partial scholarship, even in Canada here for undergrad. So the only problem is like for you to convince the visa officer, like, okay, I'm 40, I just want to start undergrad. Like a
Okay,
lot of them just see it as a way to japa, and you get rejected for that.
okay, that's great. This person says Orimaye Busuyi says, I have HND accounting, 15 years post experience, and I'm writing ICANN final state professional level. Am I eligible for any scholarship on this program?
Well, yeah, your professional experience might count. I've seen a lot of people. Like recently, there was, I wrote, "Thank you, Ma. Thank you for inspiring us." She's 62. She just won Chevening scholarship. So like,
Yeah.
and I was like, this coming application window is gonna be crazy because I mean, someone with 15 years of experience applying with someone with just fresh out of the university. So, like,
Yeah.
your 15 years of experience could count a lot. There are several scholarships, the Swedish scholarship out there, and you just need to look right into where you want to apply to. So, you're eligible for scholarship. Age is not a barrier. In fact, your 15 years of post experience is a big deal. So, you just need to connect your statement of purpose and tell them, like, okay, this is what you have so far, and this is why you're pursuing academia. So, like, you want to, like, package it. I usually tell people, see, it's all about packaging. There's no big deal out there. Just put it like this is what you've been doing so far, and this is what you intend to do, and this is the. I usually tell people you can get scholarship irrespective of your background, but the question is, what problem do you want to solve?
Hmm.
So if you are a lawyer, people say they don't get scholarship for people in law. I tell them no. You haven't thought about indigenous law. You haven't thought about intellectual property. I mean, recently a professor just advertised. I just got funded for the impact of AI in like criminal justice.
Hmm.
So you just need to. I mean, fine. I understand. Like, okay, the STEM is heavily funded, but for you to get scholarship, you might have to look at interdisciplinary, the interconnection of STEM and non-STEM, and this is where the word is. Like, if you're looking for funding for finance, if you're looking for funding for accounting, the question is, what do you want to solve? Because accounting and finance is already automated.
Hmm.
So no funding agency will give you money to come and flex or come and tour the world. You have to understand what you're bringing along. You've identified a particular problem, and this is what I think I can do differently.
Okay, thank you, sir. What problem do you want to solve? So that is so profound. Oluwa Shiomfumi Fatoyinbo says, what's the scholarship probabilities for a second class lower degree?
Well, it's I would say, though I understand the place of CGPA, it's very important, but I'm sorry to say, a lot of first class students probably get outnumbered with people with 2-1. Why? Because
Hmm.
maybe a lot of them feels like, okay, the grade matters most. No, the CGPA matters, but again, I talked about letter of recommendation. Of recent, there was a scholarship, I think in Poland, that gives percentage, maybe 60% for letter of recommendation and 40 for CGPA. So
Wow.
for you to have, if you have a second class lower degree, it's not suicidal. It's not a death sentence. I have someone that had two fully funded scholarship in China with tutu.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
you might have to walk extra mile. Okay, publish some papers, make a review, attend seminars, attend webinars. Like your statement of purpose can change a lot of things for you. Maybe it was hardship, or you had a problem that made you to have second class lower degree. So you can make a statement for that in your statement of purpose. So if you have a second class lower degree, please, it's not the end of the world. You just need to work. You need to work harder more than maybe people with 2-1 or or first class. And like I said, I know of people having fully funded scholarship with tutu China, like if you have Chinese government scholarship, and so even people with HND. So it's nothing is impossible. It all depends on you, and that's why I always talk about resilience. I talk about determination, and I talk about write your story yourself.
Wow. Now I understand the reason. There's a guy who learned content writing from Go Global, our company, and then he applied to 3 universities abroad to study for his PhD. And then one university in the US actually picked him. And
Yeah.
I actually wrote his letter of recommendation. In fact, I poured all my mind into
You
that
see,
letter
yeah, that's the point. I mean,
as the CEO of the company. Yeah.
yeah. So for imagine you writing, okay, maybe you don't have a relationship with a professor and you just like, sir, I need a little recommendation. Okay, I know I'll be that boy from university. Let me just write something. But
Mm.
you get a letter of recommendation of 2 pages from a professor, and it was like, oh, he was the first person in my lab to discover this. He was the first person to do this. He communicate with people well. This is what he does. These are the qualities. I mean, you need to sell yourself out there. And also, when I talk about recommendation letters, you also have to invest in relationships. You can't
Mm.
wake up and just write someone that probably is still going through the fact that they haven't paid their salary to write you a letter of recommendation. So, but
That's
if you have a constant talk with a person, you have a relationship, maybe every month. Hi, sir, I just want to say hello. And
mm.
by the time you need something, I mean, this thing is all about mutualistic approach. So that's the
Mm.
way it is.
Maybe one of these days we're going to have a session on strategic relationship or networking, with our participants so that we can all learn more on that. Like
Yeah.
there's a guy who in also a company, he came to learn web design. He has never been serious, and he is telling me to write a recommendation letter. I didn't even do as if I said
You don't want to lie. I mean, because you also put your name out there, so
yeah.
it's about your integrity. I mean, that's the way it is. You don't just get recommendation letter from random people. Like, okay, maybe I met you on Twitter. How did I get to know you? I met you on Twitter. You tweet really well, and I want to attest to the fact that you are good. No, it doesn't work that way. So
Mm.
your letter of recommendation must come from people that knows you, from people that's why they most university recommends your supervisor, bachelor, masters, or PhD, or your
Mm.
lecturer recommends you. They know
Wow,
those ones will be objective. Yeah.
great. Thank you, sir. So, Orimolade Moyin Olua says for first class graduate is GR necessary?
Well, GRE and CGP are
Maybe.
two different things.
Yeah.
So you want to be sure the school you're applying to, they waive GRE. And like I said, yeah, fine. Most schools waive GRE. I know there are several schools in North America that waives GRE because of COVID. But again, once there is application fee waiver, once there is GRE waiver, thousands of people will apply.
That's right.
And the
Hmm.
competition begins, like looking at someone that's coming from the industry with 15 years of post experience. Like, I mean, you
Hmm.
can imagine how the competition will be. So I always tell people with your first class, there are several organizations in Nigeria which I'm also working in something similar that gives GRE application fee like for free. You just need to write a good statement or application document or like an essay, so you can get. I know GRE is not cheap. I understand, but again, if this takes you to achieve what you want to achieve, I would always suggest you write GRE. Like I said, I have several people from Ekiti State, like even from our university, EXU, that got fully funded PhD offer 5 years. They're currently in the US. After
Wow.
one even had Three. One had three offers
Oh wow.
before he completed this National Youth Service Corps. I was like, what? We had to like. I mean, people came around on Twitter for the guy when he told them like, "Hey guys, I just finished NYC. I had no funding to apply for visa." We all rallied around him to raise funding for him. And I remember, I tagged a lot of guys. AY. I tagged even home mother Irelu on this post. Like this is our guy from Ekiti. 3 fully funded PhD offers in chemistry in the US. Everything he did in NYC was to use. Maybe one of this time we'll talk about everything he did in NYC was to use his Alawi to write GRE, write IELTS.
He's so passionate, and that's
I'm telling
cool.
you. And he had 3 fully funded offers, and he was confused on which one to take. And within 72 hours on Twitter, we rallied around him. We raised the money he needed for his visa and other things. So please, with the first class, don't waste it. Write GRE. I always feel bad when I read about first class, maybe microbiology or chemistry going into another field, like start selling things. I understand the system is not so okay, but please, you've worked to get out first class. Don't waste it. Get whatever you want to get out there. Like I said on my pin post on Twitter, there's this iScholar initiative. There are several Michael something initiatives that they give money for GRE. They help people. Even some scholars that are coming up are even partnering with organizations in Nigeria to have discounted amounts for GRE and IELTS. So please go out there and write to GRE. You made a first class. Back it up with GRE. Shoot to the US. It might just be in the US next year.
Amazing. That's prophetic for someone here today. Happy. All right. Faith says, "What's your Twitter name and website?" Probably we're going to provide that your Twitter handle again.
Yeah,
we're going to share it in the Telegram community, but you can also talk about it.
Yeah, my Twitter handle is Olumuyiwa Ayo. Olumuyiwa, then OLUMUYIWAAYO. Then my website is Olumuyiwa Igbalajobi.com. So yeah, it's also on my Twitter.
Yes, Olumuyiwa Igbalajobi.com. All right. Yeah. So you can see the screen of Olumuyiwa on your screen right now. That is Dr. Olumuyiwa Igbalajobi. Okay. So just type the 2 names, Olumuyiwa Igbalajobi.com. And you're good to go. All right. Now we have a question from Ulutola. Says, do you need to have an admission before applying for scholarship?
Well, it all depends on where you're applying. For instance, in Korea, it's concurrent. Most scholarships, they are always concurrently run. In Korea, for instance, you apply to the university gives you they recommend you for the scholarship body. But again, like I said, it's really competitive. So you can get recommended by the university, but you don't get recommended by the government. For instance, you have 1,000 people applying for Nigeria, and you're all struggling for 8 slots. So a lot of Nigerians will get accepted by the university, and they don't get picked by the scholarship body. But maybe the university will now contact you, if you have, if you can do self-sponsorship, then yeah, the admission is waiting for you. So in most cases, you may have to apply. I know of I think Chevening scholarship and also the Commonwealth. Probably you have to apply to the university and then you indicate or something like that for the scholarship. So it all depends on the scholarship you're applying for. And so scholarship, you need a supervisor, you need a university, and it all goes through concurrently. I know in China, for instance, once you get the school to accept you, you are 90% okay that you will get a scholarship. Even if you don't get a government scholarship, you get a school scholarship.
Great. Charles Adile, we've already answered your questions earlier. Samuel Lawrence says, can we have a sample of the curriculum vitae?
Yeah, I have it on my website. I have it on Twitter. I made a YouTube video on cold email and CV sample. I have my CV format at the description section. It's a Google Doc, so you can see my code email format as well as my CV format. So you can get it. You can watch my video on 8 common mistakes in CV, and also how to make a winning academic CV. It's on YouTube, so go there. I'm sure the food is ready for you to chop. So
Okay, all right. I just want to display your. Am I correct? Olumuyiwa
yeah,
Igbalajobi, right?
perfect, perfect. Yeah,
All
perfect.
right. To the next question. What about HND graduates?
Yeah, I've addressed that, and I've made several threads on that on Twitter, and I have like a cousin that got a fall. He got an admission in the U.S. without even West evaluation. You know, there's a way. There are two ways. Okay, you can apply for direct admission with your HND. There are schools in the U.S. that they don't care, and also you can do West evaluation. Like for West, you can evaluate your HND to make it equivalent to a bachelor degree. So in those two ways, you just go there and apply. You can back up with GRA. If you do GRA and with your HND, you can get a fully funded PhD admission in the US. It's very possible. So HND is not a barrier for you. Go out there. I've made several threads on people with tutu, people with HND. You can apply for scholarship, though the chances are limited, but nothing is impossible. Yep.
All right, Adekweju, your question has been answered already. And Samuel Lawrence says, I hope we can have access to this YouTube session after. No, actually you can, but you have to upgrade to our VIP class. And then that one we'll share with you in the Telegram community. All right, same question from Oke Damilola. All right, there's a good question here. It said, I'm 800 level. Please, you see, if you are going to apply to scholarship, you have to learn how to write your all right. Okay,
It's
so
pardonable.
I'm a 100 level student of University of Ibadan Psychology Department. Do I have a chance of getting a scholarship abroad to study?
Well, it depends. If you want to jackpot, like you're in 100 level, you're tired of the system already, and you want to leave, or you want to wait after you graduate. I mean, so these are two different questions which are not captured here. So if you're in 100 level, I will advise you, like, okay, focus on your grade, graduate well. But if you're looking at the perspective of the scenario in Nigeria, we've been there. Yeah, there's no sane system in the world. I understand, but again, if you're considering leaving right now, like okay, you want to leave. Yeah, there are several undergraduate scholarship out there which you can apply for. Like I said, I talked about the Korean Women's Scholarship. I talked about Japan. I talked about China. But for physiology, okay, I've said it. For physiology, you may have to think about other aspect of what you really want to do. Maybe you want to consider other aspect of biomedical sciences. So because physiology, I don't know, it depends on your goal. What do you want to become in the future? So it's all about you. I usually tell people, own it. Ask yourself, what do I want to do? If you're tired of the system, yeah, you can look out for several scholarships out there and apply using your yeah, the only qualification or the only academic credentials you have right now is either your white or NECO. So also you have a leverage since you're in 100 level. Yeah, in some countries like Germany or the Netherlands, you just need the transcript from your 100 level to navigate the system. You don't have to go through the student colleague. Because yeah, like Germany, if you don't have such, you have to go through the student colleague, which is more like you going for pre-degree, then you write your JAMB exam to enter the university, which is there are limited slots and it's not easy. So you can make use of the 100 level transcript to apply for opportunities in Germany. Though right now to get an interview slot, it's even hard. And yeah, it's German educational system. The tuition is free, but you need at least 6 million naira in your block account to show that yes, you can survive in Germany. So that's it.
Doc, I hope we're not taking too much of your time, although it's my session that is next, but
no,
the next session is just announcement and
it's fine.
So let's just use this to take questions from people. Samuel Lawrence says, what about someone that doesn't have industry experience? Can such person make use of 2 university professor as reference?
Oh yes, you've answered that. If you don't have industry experience, you are required to submit references from your professor. So most of the letter of recommendation, I think it's always 3. So yeah, submit 3 letter of recommendation from your professors, and make sure that they write something that are distinct. Don't just go through them and give them. I've seen people that they requested a letter of recommendation, and the 3 professors wrote the same thing, word for word. It doesn't make sense.
Mm,
So
mm.
like, let it write in their own way. Yeah, there's nothing bad in you for you to proofread it, and also, like I said, it's important to update them with your achievements. Send them your CV. Okay, sir, I just volunteer for so. I just did this. I just led my CDS group in camp. These are the roles I played. I mean, I remember applying for the Chinese government scholarship and the Korean government scholarship. I used my Nigerian format of CV, the next of kin, the religion, and everything, and I still got a scholarship. Like when I
Wow.
think about it, I think about my statement of purpose. I think about my recommendation letter that stated I was a president of NAMS. That stated that I led several campaigns when I was in Ibadan against women trafficking and child labor. So make sure your letter of recommendation is weighty and it carries a lot of strength for you.
All right, thank you, Doc. Juliet says, Doc, all North American letter of recommendation is usually a link that will be sent directly to the lecturers for them to put and write back to university. I think this is about building relationship, like you mentioned.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of them would even like, okay, a lot of lecture of your supervisors or professors, if you have a relationship with them, they will even send you the draft. Like, okay, are you okay with this, or should I add more? So, like, I've received several links to also fill recommendation letter. It's either you attach a PDF or you copy and paste. So it's still the same format. So if you don't have a relationship, if you don't have an history with them, then it becomes a problem.
Great. Oluwatope Yafet says, I'm a 400 level anatomy XU. When and how can I start my scholarship process to study medicine, sir?
Okay, I know medicine scholarship, it's almost impossible. Nothing is impossible, I usually tell people, but medicine, it's I think for most universities, it's not lucrative for them to fund it. So like yeah,
Yeah.
so to get scholarship for medicine, it might be hard, but I know several people that went to Ukraine, that went to China to study medicine and surgery, and it's not expensive. So I should look at it that way. So if you want to do medicine after 400 level anatomy, the question is, are there different things you can do aside medicine? But if it is your first love, then yeah, why not try it? So you may have to consider self finance, or you look for schools that charges less. And yeah, Ukraine, China, yeah, there are places you can explore. And also, I know for Canada, to get a slot for medicine and surgery, you need a first degree, and the gain preference are given to people that are citizens and people that has the permanent residence. So and the slots are limited yearly, so it's a bottleneck. Yep.
Thank you, sir. Ola Jubutu. This person is age 40 plus now. Says, I read urban and regional planning with PGD and even registered. Age 40 plus now, professionally. Can I be privileged to apply for master scholarship?
Well, like I said, there are several scholarships out there. I've received this kind of information severally from people that are even 50. And like I mentioned earlier, there was this woman that just got Chevening scholarship at 62. So it all depends on you, and yeah, there's no limitation for you as long as you're determined. You can try the Chevening scholarship. There are Swedish scholarship. There are several scholarships out there. Hopefully one of these days I'll make a video on scholarships for people that are over certain age. So yeah, you can apply for master's scholarship, and there are also several scholarships even in the UK. Like people feel yeah, UK don't sponsor people, like they always ask for your money. Like for instance, they give you tuition of £20,000 and they give you a scholarship of £2,000. So
Yeah.
but again, I've seen people with MBA scholarship in the UK, and it's
Wow.
under maybe leadership, African women leadership MBA scholarship. Because in the world
Wow.
now, It's all about EDI. It's about equality, diversity, and inclusion. And these are the
Mm-hmm.
people also want to see what how you've contributed to this terrain. So yeah, the urban and regional planning. Maybe you think about there are several aspects of urban and regional planning. Think about GIS. Think about all this spatial analyses and things like that. You just want to do something different, and fine, you've registered professionally. It's okay, but again, yeah, professional affiliation matters on your CV, but there are other things that are more important. So you can get a master scholarship. I'll say yes to that. And yeah, with PGD, sometimes like I don't know if you had an HND and you did a PGD. For us in the Nigerian system, yeah, PGD counts a lot, like a buffer. But in most countries that I know, like in the US and Canada, sometimes they don't even understand why you did PGD, right? They still falls back to your, let's say you had a pass or you had a third class and you did PGD in Nigeria to buffer and cancel that out. Most countries still feels like no, they still evaluate you based on your first degree. So now the question is, why did you do PGD? Is it because you had an HND or something? Which HND is not a barrier on its own.
Thank you so much. As I see some people asking, what's the meaning of? There are some things that you're supposed to ask Google, not him. You're asking what's the meaning of GRE. You shouldn't be asking here, okay? All right. So that is very important. Go to Google, type GRE, the meaning of GRE, and you see that. This one say, Mr. Shola, my answer my. I'm a voluntary retired soldier from Nigeria Army. Is this possible with Tutu to offer scholarship? I mean, to get scholarship to study security management, criminology abroad. Now we are given the question so that you can answer it.
Yeah, like I
I
said,
don't want soldier to come and beat me at home.
yeah, we have to respect them. Yeah, like I said, tutu is not a barrier. Okay, the problem with tutu, for instance, if you're looking at Canada, like I usually like the normal phrase "Canada in Jesus' name." You may not get into Canada with tutu because a lot of universities, if not all universities in Canada, have a benchmark of 2-1. So, but there are several scholarships in Asia. For instance, I posted, I think in February, like Koika, there's this scholarship in Asia. KDI offers a lot of scholarships on public policy. It doesn't have to be security management. If you're talking about security management and criminology, then maybe you need to talk about AI. You need to talk about, like how do you track? It's not just about reading. Like you need to understand, the importance of technology in security management. So that's what I keep saying. Like, what do you really want to do? If it is just about leaving the country, then
Mm-hmm.
you might miss the point. So if it is, I usually tell people if it is 70% JAPA, 30% research, you will not JAPA. You will still be in the system. But if it is 70% research, like, okay, yeah, I identify a global problem, I identify insecurity, I'm going to use AI to, understand how we can track people, to understand how, okay, for instance, in Nigeria, we don't have database, right? Like, people just, I mean, NIN, they did it, fine. We understand. But when it comes to database, okay, this is what I want to solve. So, like, with your tutu, it's not a barrier. You may not just be in Canada, you may not just be in the US. Yeah, people also get scholarship with tutu in the US, but it has to come with like, okay, you've had publications, you've done GRE, you've attended conferences, maybe at the conference you identify a professor, and the professor will even be the one to tell you like, don't worry about the tutu. Like it can make a statement for you, like, I'm okay to supervise this person. I believe in this person. And there are several talks out there on Twitter from people in academia saying, oh, guys, it's not about grade. Yes, it's not about GRE score. Like maybe in the future, I'm putting this video as like, speaking into future, like maybe in the future, GRE will not be a test of, excellence. Maybe grade will not be a test of excellence. Because in the long run, you see people with low grades that even perform better, especially when they are in an environment that helps them to be a better person. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. This should be the last question. Ayomi Kwalabi says, as a pastoral, can I be qualified for the PhD scholarship? Is it a pastor you are talking about? Let us understand. Ayomiko Alabi, Pastor Ayomiko Alabi, as a pastoral.
I've had several questions. I've had several questions like this on Twitter and on Facebook. I feel like, okay, I don't know. Like there are several scholarships out there, but I've not really invested in pastoral scholarships. Actually, but I know of recently there's this there's this. I'm sorry if this looks like a joke, but I mean, people complain Muyiwa posts so much about STEM. Now, non-STEM are coming. Like this is coming to being a pastor, like pastoral scholarship. So recently the Croatian government posted like there was this application for scholarship, like Croatia, like as a Christian you can apply. So maybe you can look at something like that. But again, about 5,000 people applied for that scholarship, and by the time they released the list, they said over 5,000 persecuted Christians applied for the scholarship. So like I feel like an average person in Nigeria is persecuted. So like for you to get out there, it takes a lot. And I want to tell you, scholarship is not cheap. Scholarship could look like free, but the fact is, it takes a lot of hard work, and it's like it doesn't come easy. You have to do your part. So if you're looking for pastoral scholarship, I don't know if there are churches in Nigeria that sponsor people to study abroad, and maybe Shola also knows about pastoral scholarships in
I've not invested pastoral too.
Okay, so maybe in Israel, maybe in Italy, I don't know, but coming to this part of the world, yeah, people, I know professors in religion and, like all those things like that. Maybe you can think about African history, like African tradition. These are areas you can look at. I know universities in Germany that deals with African tradition and all these things and history and different perspective. But if you're just looking for a scholarship in Christianity or religious study, that might be hard to get. Except you just look for areas which people don't go to, like maybe look at a particular country that it is only you that got the information. I haven't really come across such opportunities, but it doesn't mean they don't exist.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, guys, that's an Airtel recharge card on the screen. You can quickly load that if you are lucky. Fastest, the fastest. Of course, that's only available to Nigerians. Okay, not people in the US. All right, and that is the YouTube channel. I hope I'm correct with the spelling. Scholarship.
Yeah, it's correct. Scholarship Cafe with Dr. Igbalajobi. But if you type Scholarship Cafe, you should be able to say it. Yeah. Scholarship Cafe with Dr. Igbalajobi.
Okay, let me quickly do that.
Yeah, I think I'm also right.
This is Dr. DR or
DR. Yeah, I find it funny when people use DOCTOR for me.
All right, guys. So we're going to share that anyway. We're going to share all the links. If you are in the email or the our Telegram community, you're going to get that. If you are not there, simply go to ekitidigitalsummit.com/register. That's what is scrolling on your screen right now. And then you can just simply register so that you can get all of these things, right?